So lots of preparation things to do in the fall around the property. One of the big things in autumn for us with the yurt to prepare for is the mice, looking for a place to live for the winter. Lots of mice. We get mice moving around in the winter or in the fall looking for a place to be. Now, if we can keep on top of them throughout the fall and keep them out of here, then we do a pretty good job not having them in the winter. And so in the next following weeks, it's going to be important that we get up here and make sure we're trapping and setting out stuff that they don't like peppermint and Irish Spring soap and all sorts of stuff that they just prefer not to smell. But right now, it looks pretty cold in here. Can't see my breath quite yet, but it's about 1 degree in here Celsius. So we'll get a fire going and start this place warming up and start some chores. Well, now that the yurt is warming up, we can start with the trailer and getting it winterized. So first things first is we got to drain all the water out and flush all the lines with RV antifreeze and close off the hot water heater and get those lines drained and get the hot water heater drained, all those things drained out so that they don't freeze in the next couple of nights when it gets below zero. So that's what we'll start with. So this is always the most fun part, is getting in underneath here. This is the hot water heater here, and so we close off the lines to and from the hot water heater and open the bypass line, and then we'll drain the hot water heater from outside, and then when we run the antifreeze through the lines, it'll run through this bypass line and fill those lines with antifreeze as well. So lefty loosey, righty tighty, right? Righty tighty. Righty tighty. Okay, so let's get out of here. Sunlight. Okay, so in here we've got this guy, which they always put in the most awkward spot. In this case, it's right behind this guy, which makes it almost impossible to get at. So, inch by inch, and plastic thing to boot. There she goes. Now the next thing we need to do, once that's finished draining, is drain the big water tank, which is this guy, and then open up this little valve and start pumping in antifreeze into there. So to empty out that big tank, we just need to open this guy. That valve is a little sticky sometimes. I think I hear it running. Let's go see. Caramel. Let's go see. There she goes. Okay. So this is the hose we use. And again, something we always leave right there. So once that guy's in there, you can just turn on the tap and that'll get the pump going and it should start drawing it right through. There we are, steady flow. Now if all the taps are running pink, like those are, and these are, is running pink, hot and cold. A nice dark red like that. Then we know she's all winterized and good to go. Nice tick. Oh, nice tick. Oh, yeah. Look at those colors. Next up is the water rain catchment system for the cabin. Now we got a big old jug here that we'll have to dump out. But this whole thing is still absolutely full because we've gotten so much rain this fall, which is great, but it does need to be emptied out. So emptying this guy is pretty easy. We literally just... So on second thought, we'll use some of this water this year because I do have some trees right around here that could use a drink. So we'll get this adapter on here. Right, now we can get some watering done. Now this strange creature, you may be wondering, is a solar heater, which goes on the back of the door, and
right here on these two pegs, right?
Yeah, on those two pegs that everybody whacks their shins on in the summer. This guy basically has it's painted inside, it's got glass in the front, painted black on the inside, and then it has this frame that has black screen stapled to it that goes on a diagonal all the way down. And essentially what happens is cold air goes in this gap on the bottom, and this thing heats up and creates a thermal vacuum and sucks the cold air through this, which is hot inside from being in the sun all day, even on a cold day. And the heat rises and comes out this hole at the top.
And there's a fan in there so it shoots it out.
And in fact, we've got a little fan in there, that's right, that we can hook up to a solar panel, and then that helps it during the day to help draw that warm air through. So it just tends to keep the cabin about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than it would be outside. And that way when we get here, it's easier to warm things up. Everything goes much quicker. And the battery tends to keep its capacity a little bit higher because it's got a little bit of warmth in here. Now it works pretty well down to, you know, -10 or so. Gets much colder than -10 degrees Celsius, and you know, it just obviously can't keep up. We also don't get a whole lot of sunlight in the winter, so the amount of days of direct sunny sunlight are limited, but it is south facing for the most part, so it works not too bad. So we'll get that installed on the back of the door today and get that ready for winter as well. Forward.
Yeah, because otherwise... a little bit this way, a little bit.
Okay, just hold that there, Elliot. Can you come on the other side? Just a second, Jasper, okay? Right in the middle of something.
Okay.
All right, so... So, she fits basically just like that. Now, we're gonna need a sunnier day than today, unfortunately. The sun has gone behind our clouds, and it's cooled right off again, so. So, clouds have come over, and it's cold enough now that we're even getting a little bit of sleet coming down. Fall is upon us, people. Fall is upon us. And the last thing to get the cabin ready for winter is to reinstall the propane tank for the heater. And with that, the cabin is winterized. Now, time to move on to the yurt. So the yurt is a little bit simpler a system. It's pretty basic. It just has the one heating source, which is the wood fireplace in there, and that's been going all summer, and we've been using it in the fall on cool nights and things, so it's ready to go. We cleaned the chimney on that one not too long ago, so it should be just fine. One thing I would like to do is stack this area with some firewood. One of the other winter things that the yurt has is these windows that go into the doors. Now these windows are specially made to fit in these little wooden frames on the doors, and they just fit in. They're double paned, and they keep a lot of heat inside and still allow us to have that big storm door open outside and still allow that light to come in. So it's nice to be able to use the sunlight when we have it and be able to get light in that way. Even at this temperature, when it's sort of hovering around freezing, we really don't want to have all that heat escaping, and so it's really nice to have those windows on there and be able to have the light come in. So with the summer kitchen being up at the camper, we tend to move all of our dishes and cutlery and cooking things and stuff like that up to the camper. So in the winter time, when we switch that over, all that cooking stuff needs to come back down to our yurt, and some of it back into the cabin where people will be cooking in there. So we'll use the cabin. If it's just me coming up or something, I'll use the cabin. It's a smaller space to heat and uses less wood that way, and we certainly have a lot of company coming through, friends and families staying in the cabin, and so they'll use the cabin and be able to cook in there as well if we've got some dishes for them. So we'll move all of the dishes and all the cooking implements back into the yurt today and get ourselves our cooking situation all set up again. So the last step of getting our winter kitchen in the yurt back up and running is running the propane for the stove. We keep the propane tank outside of the yurt, which is a much safer way to go about it, and run that inside to the little stove. So get that all hooked up, and we're ready to cook, right? So with the kitchen in the yurt back intact and being able to cook in here again, it's time to have a look at the outside. One of the things that keeps a yurt together and strong are the ropes on the outside, and these basically hold the walls together, which holds the roof from sort of collapsing in. So it's all kind of important stuff, and these do tend to loosen off after time, so it's a good idea to just sort of go around and give them a snap every once in a while. These ones all seem pretty tight. Oh, that one needs redoing. And when they need redoing, just tighten them up and make sure that you've got a good tight cinch on all of them. Good. Well, that's about it. That'll turn things over for the autumn season. Keep things from freezing now that we've got minus temperatures, and keep things from getting damaged. So good to have that stuff done. Good turnover. Lots more to do once the actual winter kicks in, obviously, but that'll get us started anyway. So thanks for coming along, and see you on the next one.